Unafraid, Reister or Wrong, George Reister here. Thank you guys for joining me. It is a big day today because not only is it almost the end of the week, but it is also the greatest Unafraid show that you have ever seen today. As it is every day, we make it great. So what we got on track for you guys today? Lonzo Ball. You're calling him a bum. Got something else for you. Got an alternative way of thinking about this for you. Willie Taggart to Florida State. Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M. And the NFL is donating $89 million to social justice. Kaepernick wins. So that's where we're going today. Now, some of those things I just named are rumors, and I'm going to tell you whether they are likely to happen or very unlikely to happen. Because reports have leaked that Florida State is actively looking to replace Jimbo Fisher with Willie Taggart if Jimbo Fisher leaves to go to Texas A&M or anywhere else. The question is, though, will he leave? That's the magic question. And Jimbo Fisher may be going to Texas A&M. Next thing is that NFL has reached an agreement with the Players Coalition for the league to contribute $89 million over 7 years to projects dealing with criminal justice reform, law enforcement, and community relations and education. That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. We're going to talk about that kind of toward the end of the show. You guys, first of all, make sure you swipe up, like the feed, share it right now. Not later. Share it right now. Continue the conversation. Send in your comments. Also, the Unafraid Anonymous emails are out. They went out yesterday. Huge success already. Make sure that you like the feed. Go read them. They are pinned to my Twitter profile. They're on Facebook, everywhere else. Go like them, read them, all that. First thing I got to say, though, first thing straight out of the box is you guys, everybody who wants Alabama in the college football playoff, stop sending me tweets trying to excuse their schedule. Please do. Stop sending them at all. Don't want to hear them. Because, these teams, they just schedule bad teams. This is just the way it is. No, that's not the way it is, and it's not the way it has to be. If Clemson, USC, Notre Dame, Florida State, North Carolina State, South Carolina, Cal, Florida, and Georgia can all have at least 2 Power 5 non-conference games on their schedule, you can too. Alabama can too. So stop making damn excuses. Stop atting me. Stop tweeting at me. Stop emailing me trying to tell me why Alabama or your team deserves to be in the playoffs if they did not win their conference. If you don't win your conference and you have a weak schedule, don't come sniffing around the playoff. Don't come sniffing around. Don't go crying over spilled milk. You should have scheduled a better schedule. Clemson is number 1, and they lost a game because they scheduled a good schedule. The committee's doing a good job so far, and they better not screw around and put Alabama in. I don't care who wins and who loses this week in conference championship games. Next thing up, Lonzo Ball. Last night, the Lakers lost to the Warriors, but he went for 15 points, 10 rebounds. This dude has 2 triple-doubles on the year, 1 assist shy of a 29-point triple-double, and he's averaging 9, 7, and 7 on the year. And you want to call him a bum? Yeah, nah, I'm not hearing that. Send him to the G League. No, Ricky Rubio, Gary Payton, and Jason Kidd. That's whose names that he's doing equal to or at least better than. But you want to send Lonzo Ball down to the G League because his dad's a loudmouth. Nah, I'm not feeling that. Not feeling it at all. But truth be told, no other rookie has been under as much daily scrutiny, not even LeBron James, than Lonzo Ball. He's doing a good job. He's doing fine. He's growing. He's adjusting to the game. Chill out, people. Chill out. The man's going to be A-okay. That's just a fact. Now on to what you guys want to hear about even more now that we got the semantics out the way. Yes, I still believe that Lonzo Ball was worth the number 2 pick because when you look at the history of rookies in the league, rookie point guards, like some of the guys I just named, he's doing equal to or better than these guys. And 2 of them, Gary Payton and Jason Kidd, are Hall of Famers. Like, let's not act like it doesn't take some maturation for some players. So Willie Taggart to Florida State. So reports have leaked that Florida State is actively looking to replace Jimbo Fisher with Willie Taggart if Jimbo Fisher leaves. Then I hear all the Oregon fans, everybody saying, oh, Willie Taggart, he'll absolutely take that job. He wants to go home. Listen, man, home is overrated. Home is overrated. You find a new home that's better sometimes, and then home is what you knew. Like, it's what you knew growing up. It's all these things, and you find a new home. This is what you do. This is not abnormal. People move away. They go to college. They stay where they went to college. They get a job. They get a new job. And they're like, oh, well, my plan was to go back to Florida. My plan was to go back to Kentucky, Tennessee, New York. But something different came up. But something better came up. And I've said it all along. I have two big reasons why Willie Taggart is not leaving Oregon for Florida State. Will not happen. And in fact, Jimbo Fisher, we're going to get into that too, why he probably won't be leaving Florida State as well. So when you look at what Oregon has going on with Willie Taggart, the recruiting, when you look at the fact that he was only there for 1 year, the first reason why Willie Taggart does not leave Oregon is character. Character. Because he made a deal with Phil Knight when he went up there, making sure that he would not leave, that he was not going to be a guy who was going to come in for one season and leave. That was not going to happen. And they've also offered him a new contract of 5 years, $20 million, which would put him at $4 million per year before bonuses. And he's got big money bonuses tied to his performance and the team's performance. Then the second reason is, well, if he leaves, he runs the risk of looking like a bigger, better deal coach. He does. And nobody wants to be a bigger, better deal coach. And what do I mean by that? That means that as soon as a good opportunity comes up, you bail out on where you were. You bail out on where you were. No, that's a bigger, better deal. That's Lane Kiffin style. That's not what you want to do. You do not want to be that guy if you are a coach. So integrity and, well, character plays into that. The second reason Willie Taggart will not be leaving Oregon, it has to do with the buyout. The buyout number that he's facing is a big number. It is not a little number, it's a big number. So Oregon already paid $1.5 million to South Florida to get Willie Taggart up there to Eugene. And his buyout now to leave Eugene is $3 million. His buyout is $3 million plus the 1.5 that Oregon already paid to South Florida. That's $4.5 million that is going to cost Willie Taggart to leave Oregon. Now let's think about that and consider that. $4.5 million. So somebody has to pay $4.5 million to get Willie Taggart and then pay him more than the $4 million that he's getting right now. Mind you, Jimbo Fisher at Oregon right now is making $5.25 million. And Jimbo Fisher has a national championship. He has a national championship, I think, in 2014 with Jameis Winston as his quarterback. He's already got a championship. So you're telling me that Florida State's going to pay more. Mind you, they're a notoriously cheap school. And Florida State does not have good facilities. They have second-rate facilities. Like when you look at the schools that have the top facilities in the country, Florida State is not one of them. They're just not. So you think he's gonna leave that? Yeah, nah. It's just not even reasonable when you consider the fact that the buyout is so high, and then they have to pay him a contract, and Florida State's already kind of cheap. then that leads to the man that he may be replacing, who is Jimbo Fisher. You guys share the feed now. We're going to get into Jimbo Fisher and Texas A&M and Florida State. So reports are that Jimbo Fisher wants to leave Florida State and go to Texas A&M. How likely is that, and how much will it cost? Because anybody can want to leave if they want to. But truth be told, here is the sticking point and why I do not believe that Jimbo Fisher will be leaving Florida State. Because everybody else, if you look at every other news outlet, every other opinionist anywhere, Jimbo Fisher's leaving, he's absolutely leaving. Wrong. They are not paying attention to the details. So Jimbo Fisher, this year, I'm going to the college football, the salaries, right? The salaries for college football, head coaches. Jimbo Fisher, this year, $5.7 million. Guess what his school buyout is as of December 1st, 2017? His school buyout, Jimbo Fisher's school buyout, is $39 million. So, you know what that means? That means that if the school fires him, they have to pay Jimbo Fisher $39 million. And you know what that means? That means that his personal buyout to leave the university is outrageous likely as well. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood of $8 to $12 million. So you're going to tell me that Texas A&M is going to be willing to not only fork over $8 to $12 million, if not more, for a buyout for Jimbo Fisher plus $7 million, $7+ million a year for Jimbo Fisher. I can't even fathom a world where that potentially happens. Like, it would be different if they had the backing of Phil Knight or they had the backing of like T-Boone Pickens over at Oklahoma State. But the reality is that Texas A&M is in College Station. Yes, I know they have some big-time donors. They have big-time people down there in Texas. But that's a pretty penny. Jimbo Fisher has the second highest buyout in all of college football. The only person that has a higher buyout than Jimbo Fisher, who do you think it is? Nick Saban? Nope. It's Dabo Swinney. $40 million to leave Clemson, for Clemson to fire him. Yes or no? So no, Jimbo Fisher will not be leaving Florida State. I know everybody wants to tell you, but I'm here to tell you the truth. I'm here to be honest. I'm here to keep it real with you. Like, don't just believe hype just because people put out reports saying, oh, Jimbo Fisher wants to leave. Jimbo Fisher might want to leave, but can Jimbo Fisher leave is the question. And can Willie Taggart even leave Oregon to replace him? No, these things are not likely. So, like, let's keep it real. Like, let's just not just believe things that are put out on Twitter. Oh, Jimbo Fisher wants Texas A&M. He might want Texas A&M. But it's not attractive. And then coaches, they understand now that they run the risk of looking like Bobby Petrino, a guy who will pick up, leave every 2 seconds. Leave every 2 seconds. And that gets me to the next point. Of all these universities, there are 13 job openings, college job openings that have come open this year. Like some of the biggest ones, obviously UCLA, which was hired by Chip Kelly. Tennessee, which has turned into a cluster, you know what, and a dumpster fire trying to hire their head coach. Apparently, according to Dante Stallworth, that a job offer for Lane Kiffin, T. Martin, and Steele as the defensive coordinator was turned down. Excuse me, Tennessee? Excuse me, Tennessee? Did those people turn down your job? Lane Kiffin's at FAU and he turned down your job? This is terrible. And I'll tell you this. Tennessee, Arizona State, Texas A&M, Nebraska, Florida State even, like all these fan bases and universities keep saying, oh, we need to do something. We need to do something. We need to get it fixed. We need a new coach. We need microwave results. No, your job is to compete every single year. Do you realize that since 1991, that's 26 years, there have only been 14 different national champions. And a lot of those names are recycled in 26 years. Like, so there's not that many teams winning. And administrators have to have enough guts. They have to have enough guts not to listen to the angry mob. I know I'm part of the angry mob. You're part of the angry mob. But the angry mob will lead you astray because people change their minds like the wind. Think about this. Auburn fans at the beginning of the season, they were calling for Gus Malzahn to be fired. Mind you, Auburn is the number 2 team in the country right now and 1 game away from playing in the college football playoff for a national championship. And his fan base wanted him fired at the beginning of the season. Like, this is exactly why you need quality leadership in the athletic departments, like Tennessee does not have right now with Curry. He has not been shown the leadership to be able to stand up to the mob and say, no, here's what we're going to do. No, they're like chasing their tails around, and that's not going to get you anywhere. You need somebody who can stand and face the mob, stand and face the firing squad and say, you know what, I'm still going to make a quality decision despite what you think about it. And I will tell you this, if there's anything that I've learned over my 36 years on this earth, is one of my best friends, Brett Winterble, told me this. He said this, and I will never forget it. He said, everybody screams about, we have to do something. We have to do something. Don't do something. Do the right thing. Don't do something. Do the right thing. Like when your team starts losing, let's fire the coach. We got to do something. No, sometimes you have to just do the right thing. Figure out what the right thing is, because it doesn't just apply to sports. Your kids' PTA meetings. What do people say? Oh, we need money. We need this. We need that. It's time to do something. Let's fire the principal. Let's do something. No, don't do something. Do the right thing. Local city councilor. Oh, we need healthcare reform. We need healthcare reform. Let's do it. Let's do something. We need gun control. Let's do something. There was a shooting. Let's do something. Don't do something. Do the right thing. Take time to figure out what the right thing is and stop having knee-jerk reactions to the mob, because the mob changes its mind like the wind. I mean, and then the other thing that you have to consider is this, is that with this whole head coaching search thing, you had Tisdale just get fired in Memphis in the NBA. Like, the unrealistic expectations are crazy, because the amount of programs in college football that have fired their coaches is not commensurate with the amount of good coaches or great coaches available. And teams have not followed the 2 rules that you need to follow before you fire a head coach. Number 1, the first thing that you need to do is what? You need to assess a coach after every single year, and you say, look, can I find somebody who's guaranteed to take this job, who is guaranteed to do a better job than the guy I have now? That's the question. That's the first question that you have to answer. Can you guaranteed find a coach better that will do a better job? Like if you have Kevin Sumlin, can you get Nick Saban? That's the question. If you can't, then you should keep the guy that you got. But the second question that you have to answer is about hope. I've said it all the time. Hope. Is there hope for the future? Can you sell 17 to 21-year-old kids, including JUCO transfers, on the fact that the future is brighter than the past? Like, no matter if you won a national championship or whether you went defeated, can you sell them on the fact that the future is brighter than the past? You always have to consider those 2 things before you fire a head coach or consider a coaching change. Answer those 2 questions, because if you don't, you will fire your head coach too soon, or you'll let him stay too soon. And the reality is that that's how you get all these coaching searches that end up in the scratch and dent bin. I call them the scratch and dent bin coaching searches, because you get coaches from the scratch and dent bin that you have to recycle. You have to recycle coaches that are that are known quantities that haven't had a lot of success, but you need a head coach. That's what Texas A&M is going to be suffering from. That's the same thing that Arizona State is going to be suffering from. They need a head coach, but who do you go to? Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards. Herm Edwards may be the new Arizona State head coach. I'm not mad at Herm Edwards, but let's seriously look at the stats. 8 seasons in the NFL, 4 playoffs. He's never been a college head coach. He's 63 years old. Hasn't coached football in 10 years. Yes, he'd be great for leadership and direction and be a father figure to these kids, and the parents at Arizona State would love him and be happy to sign up for their kid to go play for Herm Edwards. However, his actual on-field football success is going to depend on his staff because he's 63 years old. And he's the guy who tells people don't press send on Twitter. And you cannot recruit if you do not press send on Twitter. So that's the question is, everybody wants their head coach fired, but how the heck are you going to keep firing your head coach when you don't have a replacement for him? Somebody who's going to do better. Arizona State may be struggling to find somebody who can do better than Todd Graham did. He's responsible for more of their 7+ win seasons than anybody else. I mean, don't do something, people. Stop telling your administration to do something. Take this for everything in your life. Do not just do something. Do the right thing. Do the right thing. And then, because everybody wants to win a national championship, everybody wants their team to be the next, up and coming team. Everybody wants their team to be the next up and coming national champion. Whether it's Arkansas, Florida, who just fired Jim McElwain, which I think was a good fire. Some of these fires are good because they replaced him with Dan Mullen. Mississippi State, Dan Mullen left, replaced him with Joe Moorhead. Good idea. I mean, UCLA and Florida have won the coaching offseason. These other teams have not. They have not at all. The last thing that we have up for the day is Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick, I know some of you guys are tired of talking about him, but the NFL is donating $89 million over the next 7 years. Hear me right. The NFL is donating $89 million over the next 7 years to, they reached an agreement with the Players Coalition to donate $89 million over 7 years to projects dealing with criminal justice reform, law enforcement, community relations, and education. Do you realize how big of a deal that is? So if you don't know, the Players Coalition is a group of 40 players led by, Anquan Bolden and Malcolm Jenkins. So those guys are the leads of the Players Coalition. How did all this start? It started with Colin Kaepernick. So regardless of whether you think that Colin Kaepernick and the other players should have knelt, should have not dealt, where you stand on that issue, you have to respect, as a person, you have to respect that this man was willing to sacrifice his career for something he believed in and got results. That's the phenomenal part about it that I think that people are missing, is that Colin Kaepernick won with this. His sacrifice of his career was worth it because if it makes our communities safer. Because think about it, the NFL donating $89 million over the next 7 years to projects dealing with criminal justice reform, law enforcement, and community relations and education. That helps everybody. That does not just help NFL players. That does not help inner city communities. It helps police officers' families. It helps military families. It helps the community as a whole. It helps our country, our education system. We can do better in math and technology. compete better in the world. This is a huge deal. Like, so no matter where you stand on the protesting issue, you should be excited about this and about what's coming out of what Colin Kaepernick's protest actually achieved and accomplished. You guys swipe up, make sure you share the feed, guys. Share the feed now. Colin Kaepernick accomplished something very substantial, whether you agreed with him or whether you did not agree with him. He did something meaningful out in the world. He got the NFL, who's only about themselves and about their money, to donate $89 million. Are you kidding me? To help the community? Oh my God. Like, that is like, and helping the community, helping relationships with the police in the community only helps everybody. It makes our streets safer. People who love Blue Lives Matter, because Blue Lives do matter. It helps them. It helps people whose cause is Black Lives Matter. Helps people whose cause is brown lives, Latino lives. All these lives matter because of Colin Kaepernick. And now the NFL is putting its money where its mouth is, saying that it loves the community that pays its bills a lot of times. That's who it helps. Like, so while you may not agree that Colin Kaepernick kneeled, you have to appreciate how his sacrifice of his career is going to help your life and help your community. Like, it is like, so while you guys don't want Colin Kaepernick, there are some people who don't want Colin Kaepernick to have a job. You should be excited that something came out of this that's going to help your community. It's going to help your life. I mean, that's real. And under the proposal, on a national level, the owners will donate $5 million this year, with their commitment growing annually to max out at $12 million per year from 21 and 23 in years 2021 and 2023. And at the local level, the owners will put $250,000 annually and expect players to match that amount, totaling $500,000 for each team. Players and owners can exceed the amount if they choose. And 25% of the money will go to the United Negro College Fund, 25% to Dream Corps, and 50% to the Players Coalition, which has filed 501c3 papers and nonprofit status. So I couldn't be more excited and more proud of Colin Kaepernick for what he did, and you should be too, despite whether you think he should have knelt, the other player should have knelt. This man is winning in life. He's helping you. He's helping me. No matter where your community is, because if our streets are safer, if our kids are better educated, this is a win for everybody. I get that it felt icky to you about the flag, but this is a win. You guys, please make sure you share the feed, like the feed, continue the conversation. You guys, this is Reister or Wrong. George Reister here. Yeah. I think that's it for today, guys. That might be it. If you guys have any questions, comments, please send them in to unafraidshow@gmail.com. And most importantly, go to unafraidshow.com. The anonymous emails are up. I know many of you guys don't know what the anonymous emails are, but it is where people send in their questions, comments, all these things, and then I respond to them. Like, they send in their crazy situations. I will actually read one of them to you. And this week, I actually, so my wife, me and my wife do a segment on the weekends called The Wife versus the Expert. And she's a real estate broker, big time. You can look her up at Denisha Danielle. She's a dope lady. And so people send in their questions, their comments, all this stuff, and I answer them. So here is one, that way you can know that this is the greatest thing that you're going to read all week. So here's one of the scenarios. Somebody said, 6 months ago, my brother and I bought Hamilton tickets in Los Angeles. The intention was a date night with our wives. I put them on my credit card. They were going to pay me later for them. No big deal. He's always good for it. About 3 months ago, my brother finds out his wife of 5 years has been cheating on him with his boss. He promptly files for divorce, And naturally, I'm pissed at her. She's begging him back and all that, but he's not having any of it. He's proceeding with the divorce. And the newest thing is that she still wants to go to Hamilton because the tickets are impossible to get except in the inflated resale market. And she was supposed to go. I told my brother, don't pay me for the tickets because it's a gift, and he's going through a rough time. Now she wants to pay me for her ticket so she can go. My brother said it was up to me since I bought them. I really hate her ass for hurting my brother. My wife is unsure. Do I let her go with us or banish her with the lepers? I thought that this was a crazy, insane situation, but it's real though. And I told the man, I said, this is a tough choice for you. You can sell that one Hamilton ticket and pay for the whole night, or you can give it to the cheater and have to be around her all night. Your brother, he knows whether he wants her to go to the Hamilton concert or not. I mean, to the Hamilton play or not. And there's no way on earth I would let my brother put this on me. So then he could turn around and blame me for it later. He would have to make this decision. Since he's strong enough to file for divorce, I'd assume he's strong enough to weigh in with an actual opinion. And it sounds like the guy's brother is basing his decision on how he feels. Like otherwise, he would have just said no. And your brother feels so obligated to take her, or he wants to reconcile with her. And he's probably thinking, my bro just gave me expensive and hard to come by Hamilton tickets, and I know they hate what my wife did and don't want to be around her, so I'll let him make the choice. Do not let it happen. I get it. I get that you hate her for hurting your brother, but it's not your life. You have to let them know that it's his decision and it is completely up to him. And I read up on the answer to this question. Depending on what you read, 45 to 60% of people who have infidelity in their marriage get back together. And in cases of divorce, about 33% of couples get back together when the woman wants to reconcile. I thought that was interesting. Like if she wants you back, she'll get you back, I guess. And then the last option is to ask her to pay for the ticket if he allows her to go, and at least you can feel better about your night knowing that you didn't have to fork over cash for somebody that you can't stand right now. And if your brother and her get back together and she's good to him, your feelings will change long term. You guys, so we already hit today Lonzo Ball. He does not suck. Relax. He's amazing still, and he's going to be. Willie Taggart, is he going to Florida State? Jimbo Fisher to Texas A&M. Will these things be happening, and the NFL donating $89 million to social justice? You guys, thank you guys for joining me today. Unafraid, Reister or Wrong, George Reister here. I will catch you guys later. Please make sure you like the feed, share the feed, and download the podcast if you missed any of the show today. Hope you enjoyed it. We will be back tomorrow.